So another support concern that comes up pretty regularly is issues with a board that's been created and some editing of the board. So as you come to a speech board, you'll have all the buttons and options that are available. These little highlighted corners means that that button opens to a secondary set of options. You can see some that have this little link icon that lets you know that it opens to like a video, or I don't know, this one's not a video, it goes to a communication partner profile, but anyway, but it opens to something else. It depends on what it's been linked to. It may be linked to an app, or it doesn't matter, whatever you want to link it to. When people have issues editing a board, it's often because they're within a board set. Each button links to a specific secondary board. But if you've made some copies, or if you're trying to connect one board to another, you may not have connected things correctly. So you may be going to the wrong speech board. So for one of the issues that you'll see is that people try to edit a board and they'll get a message that says they're not allowed to view that board, or the board's been deleted. Often when that happens, it means that their username is not the board owner, and the person who actually owns the board has not given permission for that person to edit the board. So you'll know the board owner because it's listed in the board title right here. It's also, if you're back in the URL, you can see it in the URL of the board. Now, if you're on the app, you're only going to see this version, but if you're on the web, you have a few more options. So I always like to do support on the web whenever possible. So also you'll notice that this board has this _1. If I made another copy of the board, it would be _2, _3, _4, something like that. So if people have made multiple copies of a speech board, you have to make sure you're editing the right version. And really, it's better if they just delete all the old ones and only keep the main one that they want to use, or change the name of the board completely when they go to make a copy. So when you come to make a copy, you can tell the program, I want to have a specific prefix. I use that a lot. So I'll put February or 2023 or child, or whatever kind of prefix I want to have on there, just so that I can make sure that I know this is the one that's different, or something like that. Another piece that often happens is that as you're editing a speech button that connects to a secondary board, you come to the action section. This is where we see where the board connects, and this is the board that this button would connect to. So this is the secondary board that this button is going to open. If I tap on that, it's going to show me this is what that board would look like. It's already pulling it up in edit mode, but I don't need that right now. Oftentimes, people have made a new copy of that secondary board, but they didn't come in and link it to this original board set. When somebody's going to make a copy of a board, I almost always suggest that they copy the entire board set instead of just one page of the board set. They're going to want to edit and adjust. It's better just to have their own copy of the whole board set, and then they don't have to worry about making copies of this page and connecting it back, and making a copy of that page and connecting it back. It's just already all connected. But this is a piece that you'll want to look at. You can see which board is being connected to. Oh, it's not the one that you're trying to edit. You're editing this other board. Okay, no problem. So then you can come and copy. You only need this last section. You don't need the app part, and you can copy that, come and paste that in here. I'm not going to find it because it's actually already the same board that I'm using, but you can hit find. You do want to make sure that you're using the correct version of this. If it's one of my boards, if it's a public board, if it's a board I've liked, that'll help things become a little bit more clear as you're working through some of that. So that's a big editing problem that comes up fairly regularly. A couple of other things in editing: if you don't have a button label listed, if it's just blank, your button's going to have problems. So even if you just put a space in there, or if you put a dash or a star, or I don't care what, or put whatever you want, and then tell the program that you want to hide the button if you don't want that, or you hide the label if you don't want the label to show, that's also fine. But something needs to be in that label, or else the buttons will not perform correctly. So if you ever come across a board that people say these buttons don't work, they don't add to the vocalization box, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, this is a really great thing to check, is whether or not there's a button label listed. A lot of people don't want a button label to show, but we have to have something in there in order for the button to function. So you can hide it, that's fine, but you need to have something in there. In this picture section, we have several symbol libraries that are available to search from. Whichever one you have used last and then left is going to become kind of the default that your system will use. So most of the time I search in open symbols. This Pixabay Vector option has a lot of cute little things. That's kind of fun. There are a few Lesson Pix PCS and symbol sticks are premium symbol sets. So unless you've purchased access to those, you won't have access to searching those. But they are in there, and they are options that are available. Some of our symbol sets, like this open symbols version, you can do a little bit with like the skin color, skin tones and things of some of the people. There's some settings on preferences that you can adjust. If you ever have questions on that, let me know. I'm not going to go into it here, but just know that you can find lots of different images. You can take a photo or you can upload a photo. You can also, one of the pieces that's really useful is, let's just Google, we're going to go to Google Images. We're just going to Google a dog. Find a cute dog. He's adorable. I am going to hold down my cursor and drag this guy over into CoughDrop, and I can paste him in. So I can drag and drop. I can do the same thing actually from my computer. So if I wanted to have this as my image, I can drag it over here and drop it in. So that drag and drop feature is kind of handy. A lot of people don't know about it. It's not really a problem. It's something you can teach people that they'll be like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. We already kind of looked at actions where you can assign the board what you want it to do. If you want it to open to a website, you want it to launch a particular app. Apps have to have certain settings in order for that to function, so it doesn't work with everything, but you're welcome to give it a try. On the sound option, whatever you put in this section is what will be spoken when the button is pressed. So even if you have something different on the label, maybe you have name on the label, but you want it to speak, my name is Melissa, then you can put that in here. And then you'll be able to have that spoken even though the button label shows something different. You can also record audio or add audio. I have a bunch of speech boards that have like animal sounds and things. I just went on YouTube audio and found a whole bunch of animal sounds and added them. There's a bunch of free stuff that's in there that you can use for whatever. So that's another option. If your board's been translated into different languages, then you can adjust the button for each of the languages that you're using. And there are a few extras. Don't get too much into these. Things get confusing in here. If people are using this, they're solid in CoughDrop. They know what they're doing. And you can too. Go for it. Explore. I'm just saying don't bring people here most of the time. Most of the time, it's a little complex for most people. So anyway, that's a little bit about that. You can always drag and move buttons wherever you like. That one doesn't have it because I've got mine set to not do it. But anyway, there you go. And drag things. You can use the paint feature to pick a color and then adjust the buttons to be whatever you want. I'm never afraid to edit stuff because you can always just decide to cancel and everything will go back to what it was before you started editing. But a lot of issues come up for people as they're editing boards. One of the main things is that username piece. And then the secondary piece that comes up the most often is that action where the buttons are linked. So they'll edit one copy of their board, but it's not the one that's linked to their home board. So they think it doesn't, they think the edits didn't save. They did save, they're just on a different board. So you just kind of have to be aware of that. Okay, I hope that helps. Good luck as you work on supporting people as they're using CoughDrop.